Page 58. A Modern Hero. Although he celebrated his 90th birthday on July 18, 2008, Nelson Mandela continues to be an inspiration. Every year on July 18, school children gather on Nelson Mandela's doorstep to sing him happy birthday. And every year, Mandela lights up with his famous, gentle smile and hugs each child, thanking him or her for the song. This year, Mandela enjoyed a low-key 90th birthday at his home in Canoe, South Africa. A group of grandchildren surrounded him with the birthday song. He was surrounded by gifts that had come in from around the world. But Mandela did not need a large celebration. He used the occasion to spread his messages of peace, freedom, equality, and service. There are many people in South Africa who are rich and who can share those riches with those not so fortunate, he said. He pointed out that although he was grateful to have been able to lead a long life, people who lived in the poverty-stricken towns of South Africa were not as fortunate. If you are poor, you are not likely to live long. Cry freedom. Nelson Mandela grew up in South Africa under the apartheid system of government. Under South Africa's apartheid laws, white people were separated physically and legally from non-white people. Oftentimes, this meant that non-whites could not go to school or get good jobs. He grew up in a country where drinking out of the wrong water fountain might get you thrown into jail, where a man might have the very same job as that of his neighbor, but because of the color of his skin, could get paid less in a year than the other man made in a week, and where the government told you that your ancestors and their ways of living were wrong and savage and not even human. Mandela fought hard to overthrow the unjust laws. He wanted South Africa to be a democratic nation that treated all of its citizens equally. But Nelson Mandela was a fighter. Instead of bowing down to the unjust system of government, he became a lifelong warrior in the battle to free South Africa. He started out as a leader of an underground political movement called the African National Congress, ANC, playing a part in many dramatic demonstrations against the white. In 1964, he was sentenced to life in prison as a cruel scheme used by the white South African government to silence him once and for all. But even while in prison, Mandela continued to be a beacon of hope for his people who carried on the struggle against apartheid in his absence. In 1990, after 27 years of imprisonment, Mandela was freed. His release marked the beginning of the end for apartheid. In less than 5 years after his release, Mandela was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize and elected president of South Africa. South Africans call Mandela Mandiba. They love and respect him because he helped unite the nation after years of racism and segregation. Birthday festivities. Across South Africa, organizations hosted celebrations in Mandela's honor. At Drakensberg Prison, where Mandela was imprisoned for a short time, prisoners painted portraits to honor him. In Johannesburg, South Africa's largest city, children gathered at the Nelson Mandela Foundation, a charity that Mandela set up, which works to promote social justice. The children enjoyed a giant birthday cake. Mandiba's rules. Time magazine's managing editor Richard Stengel is close friend with Mandela. In the 1990s, Stengel spent almost 2 years working with Mandela on the latter's autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. Stengel shares Mandiba's rules, which are 8 lessons the world can learn from Mandela's extraordinary leadership style. His first lesson is that courage is not the absence of fear. It is inspiring others to move beyond it. Stengel tells this story. In 1994, during the presidential campaign, Mandela got on a tiny plane to fly down to the fields of Natal and give a speech to his supporters. I agreed to meet him at the airport where we would continue our work after his speech. When the plane was 20 minutes from landing, one of its engines failed. Some on the plane began to panic. The only thing that calmed them was looking at Mandela, who quietly read his newspaper as if he were a commuter on his morning train to the office. The airport prepared for an emergency landing, and the pilot managed to land the plane safely. When Mandela and I got in the backseat of his bulletproof BMW that would take us to the rally, he turned to me and said, "Man, I was terrified up there." Mandela was often afraid during his time underground, during the trial that led to his imprisonment. "Of course I was afraid," he would tell me later. "It would have been irrational," he suggested, "not to be. I cannot pretend that I'm brave and that I can beat the whole world. But as a leader, you cannot let people know. You must put up a front." And that's precisely what he learned to do. Pretend, and through the act of appearing fearless, inspire others. He knew that he was a model for others, and that gave him the strength to triumph over his own fear. Mandela also believed in the power of smiling. When Mandela was running for the presidency in 1994, he would go on a platform and would always do the Tuyi Tuyi, the township dance that was a symbol of the people's struggle against injustice. But more importantly was his dazzling smile. For white South Africans, the smile symbolized Mandela's lack of bitterness and suggested that he was sympathetic to them. To black voters, it said, "I'm the happy warrior, and we will triumph." The ever-present election poster was simply his smiling face. The smile, says Ramaphosa, was the message. And today, the world smiles with Nelson Mandela. Happy birthday, Mandiba.